The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 1, A Gifted Child. Once upon a time, there lived a boy named Gildong. He was the son of Lord Hwang, a rich and powerful official. One day, while Gildong was reading, he heard servants whispering about him.
Why does that boy bother reading so much?
One servant said.
His father is a noble, but his late mother was a servant. That makes him low-born.
Yes.
Another said.
He can never become a high official like his father. The law of the land prevents it.
He's even stronger than a grown man.
The first servant said.
But he can't become a military leader either.
Gildong had heard enough. He jumped to his feet and lifted a heavy chest. Bam! It made a loud sound as he slammed it down. The servants rushed away.
That will stop them from talking about me like that,
he thought. Later, Gildong spotted his father outside. As Gildong approached, Lord Hwang thought of a dream he once had. Lord Hwang stood by a river in a beautiful misty valley. It was the land of the gods. Suddenly, the calm river started to churn. The entire valley rumbled. A splendid blue dragon rose from the water and flew toward him. Though the dream was old, it was still vivid.
Father, your lordship,
Gildong said. Gildong's voice shook Lord Hwang out of the dream. Lord Hwang frowned.
You know you must not call me father. What do you want?
Do you have any new books for me to read?
Gildong asked. Lord Hwang sighed.
Gildong was born after my dream of a splendid dragon.
He thought.
It was a sign that he is a gifted child. But nothing can change his low birth. Though I love him, I cannot show too much kindness. What do you need books for?
Lord Hwang snapped.
You don't need to learn.
He stormed off. Gildong looked down, holding back tears. When he looked up, he saw his older half-brother, Inhyun, laughing. Inhyun pretended to be Lord Hwang.
What do you need books for? You don't need to learn.
Gildong scowled.
You shouldn't mock his lordship like that. Maybe you need to learn.
You can't talk to me like that. I'm noble and you're low-born.
Inhyun shouted. He pushed Gildong hard, but Gildong didn't move. Inhyun picked up a stick.
You wanna learn? I'll teach you a lesson, servant boy.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 2, All Alone. Inhyun swung the stick at Gildong. In a flash, Gildong grabbed Inhyun's arm. He flipped Inhyun onto the ground. Inhyun cried. Inhyun's mother, Lady Yu, rushed out.
He beat me with a stick, and he threw me across the yard.
Inhyun said between sobs.
He's lying.
Gildong said.
He tried to beat me with a stick.
Lady Yu narrowed her eyes. How dare you hurt my son! I'll tell my husband about this. He'll make you pay for it. She grabbed Inhyun's hand and they walked away. Gildong sighed.
These two will get me in more trouble with Lord Hong.
For 3 days and nights, Gildong had to stay in his room. By the 3rd day of his punishment, he was bored. Late that night, he sneaked outside. He climbed a tree and looked up at the moon.
Would things be better if Mother was alive?
He thought.
I feel so alone in this house.
In the moonlight, Gildong saw something moving below. It was Lord Hong.
Why are you out here, Gildong?
He asked. Gildong said nothing.
Speak.
Lord Hong said.
Why can't I call you father?
Gildong blurted out. Tears ran down his cheeks. Lord Hong sighed.
It is the law of the land. You know that.
Why is it the law of the land? It's cruel.
Gildong said.
The law makes me an outcast in this house.
Stop speaking nonsense.
Lord Hong said.
You're not the only low-born child of a noble. You must accept your position.
Gildong knew he shouldn't say more, but he couldn't stop himself.
What if I can't accept it?
Enough. Your punishment isn't over. Get back to your room.
Lord Hong said. Gildong jumped down and obeyed. One day, Gildong met a new servant named Mongdol. Mongdol looked closely at Gildong's face.
You're Gildong, the servant's son.
I'm not a servant. My mother was.
Gildong said. Mongdol grinned.
There's nothing wrong with being a servant.
Gildong was surprised. Most of the servants ignored him or talked behind his back. This one seemed friendly and curious.
I'm all alone in this house because of my birth.
Gildong said.
I'll be your friend.
Mongdol said.
My friend?
Gildong had never had a friend before.
Everyone says you're very strong. Want to arm wrestle?
Mongdol asked.
Sure.
Gildong said. The two arm wrestled. But neither won.
You're very strong indeed.
Mongdol said. Gildong grinned.
Let's wrestle again.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 3, A Silver Thread. Gildong found Mongdol one afternoon. Mongdol had just finished his work.
Tonight, we will have a feast.
Want to play?
Gildong said.
Sure.
Mongdol said. They went out with a wooden board. Gildong stood on one end. Mongdol was about to jump on the other. Just then, Inhyun stomped over.
Out of my way!
He growled, shoving Gildong away. He looked at Mongdol on the other side of the board.
Jump, servant!
Yes, young master.
Mongdol leaped high into the air. Then, bam! He slammed down on the board. Inhyun flew straight up into the tree branches.
Ah!
Master Inhyun, please come down.
Mongdol said. Inhyun kicked his legs wildly. Crack! A branch broke and Inhyun tumbled out of the tree.
My leg!
He screamed in pain. Lady Yu rushed out. You're in big trouble, she snapped at Gildong. Later, Gildong crept outside Inhyun's room. He peered between the doors. Husband, look at our precious son's leg, Lady Yu said.
It's Gildong's fault!
Inhyun said.
He and that dumb servant tried to kill me.
Lord Hong frowned.
That doesn't sound like Gildong.
Phew.
Gildong thought.
Lord Hong trusts me at least.
He watched Lord Hong pace back and forth.
But it's true, father! It's true!
Inhyun said. Gildong and that servant are trouble. You must punish them, Lady Yu said. Lord Hong sighed.
Fine. I'll send Mongdol away.
My only friend.
Gildong thought. His heart sank. He hurried to the servants' quarters to warn Mongdol. But Mongdol wasn't there. Gildong looked everywhere. A laugh came from the gate.
Mongdol!
Gildong ran over.
Did you hear the news?
I did not hear. Yet I already know.
Huh?
Gildong was confused. But Mongdol often said confusing things. Gildong hung his head.
I guess this is goodbye.
Mongdol grinned.
No, we'll meet again soon.
He went through the gate and disappeared down the road.
I'm all alone again.
Gildong thought. He looked down and kicked a stone. A glimmer caught his eye.
What's this?
Gildong saw a thin silver thread, like a spider's web. The long thread led off in the direction that Mongdol went. Gildong began to follow it. The thread seemed to go on forever. Gildong ran fast and far. He leaped on tree branches and jumped over a stream. Eventually, he found himself high in the mountains. Suddenly, the thread disappeared.
How strange.
Gildong thought.
I wonder what that was.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 4, The Face Reader's Visit. Lady Yu was scowling when her maid brought tea.
My husband loves Gildong too much,
she said angrily.
he should love Inhyun more, not some low-born boy.
The maid nodded.
My lady, perhaps you need to get rid of Gildong.
Lady Yu sighed.
Ugh. I tried, but my husband sent only Mongdol away.
Well, there are other ways, the maid said. But they are not cheap.
I'll do anything. I just want him gone,
Lady Yu said.
Of course, my lady.
The maid smiled.
I know someone who could help.
A few days later, Lady Yu was walking with Lord Hong. Her maid approached with a strange woman.
My lord, my lady, this visitor is here to speak to you,
the maid said.
Who are you?
Lord Hong asked. The woman smiled.
My name is Chunja. I am a face reader. I can also tell a person's future by looking at their face. I am here to offer my services to your lordship.
Lord Hong grumbled.
I don't believe in such things.
Husband, why not let her try?
Lady Yu said.
Fine,
Lord Hong said. Chunja stared at Lord Hong.
Your lordship has a most noble face. You will serve the kingdom for many years.
She closed her eyes and waved her hands.
I sense an energy from the side of your body. Bamboo?
Lord Hong blinked in surprise.
I have a scar shaped like bamboo on my side. How did you know that? Only my wife knows of it.
Lady Yu smiled at Chunja.
You are very talented. Please tell us what you see in our son's face.
Yes, and please read Gildong's face as well,
Lord Hong said. Inhyun came out first.
This boy is kind and smart,
the face reader said.
He will be an important man, just like his father.
Gildong came out next.
You asked to see me, your lordship?
He said. Chunja turned pale and backed away from the boy. Lord Hong looked worried. He sent both boys away.
What did you see?
He asked Chunja.
I cannot say it out loud, my lord,
Chunja said.
I command you to speak!
Lord Hong said. Chunja crawled closer to Lord Hong.
There is danger in the boy,
she said quietly.
What danger? Please tell us,
Lady Yu said.
That boy will become a king!
Impossible!
Lord Hong said. Lady Yu grabbed his arm.
Gildong is lowborn. To become a king, he must commit evil deeds.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 5, Lord Hong's Decision.
This is ridiculous!
Lord Hong frowned at his wife and the face reader.
Gildong will never become a king. Besides, the kingdom already has a king, and plenty of heirs.
Chunja bowed her head.
I only speak of what I see. And Gildong's fortune puts you all in danger.
If he causes any trouble, we'll all be punished.
Lady Yu said.
Gildong could destroy this family. You must do something, husband.
Lord Hong looked at Chunja.
Leave right now, and never speak a word of this to anyone.
Lord Hong went to his room. He stayed there alone all night thinking. In the morning, he summoned Gildong.
You wanted to see me, your lordship?
Gildong asked.
I'm sending you away.
Lord Hong said flatly. Gildong looked at him, surprised.
Sending me away? Where? Why?
There is a cottage in the mountains.
Lord Hong said.
You must stay there and never leave. A servant will bring your meals every day. You can ask for anything you need, but you may never return here again.
Have I done something wrong, your lordship? Why am I being punished again?
Gildong asked. Tears filled his eyes. Lord Hong looked down.
This is for your own good. Goodbye, Gildong.
Life at the mountain cottage was boring for Gildong. Every day, a servant brought food and a book. Gildong spent his days walking in circles in the yard. He read and reread books.
I was lonely before. Now I'm even more alone.
He thought. One day, he saw a shimmer outside. It was the silver thread again. Gildong wasn't supposed to leave the cottage, but he had to see where the thread led. Quickly, he began following it. The thread led away from the cottage and deep into the woods. Finally, Gildong arrived at a cliff. The silver thread went over the edge. Gildong carefully crept closer. As he did, his robe got caught on a tree branch. He spun around, and suddenly, the rock beneath him broke away.
Ah!
He was falling, fast. Later that evening, a servant came to Lord Hong.
My Lord Master Gildong was not at the cottage today. When we searched the mountain, we found this by a cliff's edge.
The servant held out a piece of blue cloth. Lord Hong took the cloth in his hands.
This is from Gildong's robe,
he said.
We fear
The servant bit his lip.
Master Gildong is dead.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 6, The Land of the Gods. Gildong opened his eyes. Mist rolled around him. He was in a beautiful valley with high mountains. He sat up, amazed.
I'm on the back of a big turtle!
The turtle was swimming in a wide, shining river. Suddenly, the turtle dove deep into the water. Gildong grabbed the turtle's shell and held on tightly. Soon the turtle reached a cave and entered it.
What is this place?
Gildong thought, looking around. He saw a red orb sticking out of the wall. Gildong felt pulled toward the orb. He grabbed the orb and held it.
I've never seen this object before, but it feels familiar.
He thought. The turtle carried Gildong back to the surface. A familiar laugh rumbled through the valley. Gildong knew that laugh. He looked around and saw Mongdol. He was huge and towered above the cliffs.
I told you we'd meet again soon.
Mongdol said.
Welcome back, Gildong.
Gildong was happy to see his friend. But he was also confused.
I've been here before?
Yes.
Mongdol said.
The thread of fate brought you home. You used to live here.
That doesn't make any sense.
Gildong said.
This is the land of the gods.
Mongdol said. Gildong frowned.
Mongdol, this isn't funny. I don't understand.
Slowly, Mongdol turned into an old man wearing a dazzling white robe.
You lived here before as a blue dragon.
His voice sounded different too. Poof! Mongdol appeared in front of Gildong in his normal size. He pointed to the red orb.
When you lived here, that was your treasure. It's a wish jewel that contains the powers of heaven and earth.
Gildong blinked.
Why did I leave? This place seems so peaceful and beautiful. You know how lonely I am at home.
You must find your destiny.
Mongdol said.
It's time to return to your world now. Take the wish jewel with you. Keep it with you always.
Gildong stared at the large orb.
I'm supposed to carry this with me everywhere I go? Look at the size of it. Maybe if it was small, like a...
A blinding light flashed. Now Gildong was holding a fan. Mongdol grinned. Gildong still didn't understand what was happening, but he nodded at Mongdol.
How do I get back to my world?
Mongdol pointed to the fan. Gildong opened it. Energy swirled around.
Wow!
Gildong said.
Take me home!
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 7, Back Home. Lady Yu sat with Inhyan. They watched as servants prepared for Gildong's funeral.
I'm glad the servant boy is dead.
Inhyan said. Lady Yu patted him.
Now your father will love you best.
Crack! Just then, a bolt of lightning struck a tree. When the smoke cleared, Gildong stood on top of the tree, holding a fan. Everyone screamed.
It's a ghost!
In-hyun cried, hiding behind his mother. Lord Hong rushed outside.
Why is everyone screaming?
He saw Gildong and gulped.
Gildong's ghost has come for revenge. I should not have sent him away.
Gildong scratched his head.
What ghost? I'm not a ghost.
He jumped down. Lord Hong reached out and touched Gildong's robe.
You're alive?
Of course I am.
Gildong said.
Everyone said you fell from a cliff and died.
Lord Hong said.
I fell from a cliff, but I didn't die.
Gildong said.
I just got back from the land of the gods.
Lord Hong was puzzled.
Poor child, you must have hurt your head. But never mind that.
He turned to address everyone.
There is no need for a funeral. Gildong is home, and he shall stay here for good.
In the morning, Gildong went outside with his fan.
It is time to learn how to use its magic,
he thought. He opened it.
Vortex!
A gust of wind blew hard around him. Gildong laughed.
Amazing!
He practiced using the fan all morning. Then, In-hyun found him.
Give me that.
In-hyun reached for the fan.
Float!
Gildong rose into the air. In-hyun gasped.
You must be a demon. How can you do that?
Illusion!
Gildong cried. A giant snake appeared and hissed angrily at In-hyun.
Gildong is trying to kill me again.
In-hyun ran away screaming. Poof! The snake disappeared. Gildong smiled.
I wonder what else this fan can do.
In-hyun told his parents about Gildong's new powers. Lord Hong laughed.
In-hyun, don't make up stories. You should focus more on learning, like Gildong.
Lady Yu was furious at hearing this. She stormed to her room.
What's wrong, my lady?
Her maid asked. Lady Yu stomped her foot.
I was happier when I thought the lowborn boy was dead! What if the boy died for real?
Her maid said.
If you wish, I know someone who can help. Tukje is the perfect man for the job.
Lady Yu's mouth twisted into a nasty smile.
Yes.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 8, The Attacker. It was late at night. Gildong was in his room reading. Suddenly, he heard the flutter of a bird. A crow landed just outside the doors. Caw, caw, caw! The crow flew away.
That's odd.
Gildong said to himself.
Crows don't usually cry at night. Maybe it's trying to tell me something.
Shivers went down his spine. Gildong had a bad feeling. He saw his fan nearby and reached for it. Tukje peered at the room. Gildong was reading in front of a candle.
This will be easy.
Tukje thought. Silently, he leaped into the room. But when he landed, Gildong was gone. Before he could look for the boy, the room began to shake. Tukje found himself in a dark forest.
This must be magic.
Tukje thought.
I didn't know this boy was so powerful. Luckily, he cannot match my skills or strength.
The sound of a flute floated through the forest. Tukje heard the crunch of footsteps behind him. He spun around, but no one was there. When he turned back, he saw Gildong. The boy was playing a flute and riding a donkey.
Surrender now, and I'll let you go.
Gildong said. Tukje laughed.
No one has ever fought me and lived. And you're just a child.
You'll never escape from me.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
Gildong said. Tukje reached for his daggers. He threw them at Gildong. Gildong jumped into the air and unfolded his fan.
Vortex!
Whoosh! A strong wind blew the daggers away. Then the daggers changed direction. They were heading straight toward Tukje. Tukje jumped away. But the ground wasn't there. He was falling fast in the darkness.
I surrender.
Tukje cried.
Why did you come for me?
Gildong's voice boomed around him.
Lady Yu sent me. Now, will you let me go?
Tukje said. Bam! Tukje crashed down onto the floor. He was in the boy's room again. Everything had been an illusion. Gildong stood over Tukje.
I will let you go, but you must never harm anyone ever again. I'll come for you if you do.
Tukje nodded and ran out of the room. Gildong watched the man disappear into the darkness.
I knew Lady Yu hated me,
Gildong thought.
but I didn't think she'd send someone to kill me.
He bit his lip.
Lady Yu will try to get rid of me again. There's only one thing to do.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 9, Leaving Home. Gildong went to Lord Hong's room. Lord Hong heard soft footsteps.
Who's out there?
Lord Hong asked.
Gildong.
Lord Hong opened the doors and saw Gildong wearing a hat.
What are you doing here? Why are you dressed like that?
I've come to say goodbye.
Gildong said.
What do you mean, goodbye?
Lord Hong frowned.
It is late. Go back to your room.
Gildong knelt down.
I have decided to leave your lordship's house. Tonight, an evil man was sent to harm me.
What? Who sent him?
Lord Hong asked. Gildong thought for a moment. The truth would break Lord Hong's heart.
It doesn't matter.
Gildong said.
But it's not safe for me here. Please don't worry about me. Because I am lowborn, I cannot serve the king like you can. I cannot call you father. I must go and find my own destiny.
Lord Hong looked troubled.
I'm afraid it will not be easy, but I won't stop you. Never forget that you are my son, and always remember to do good in the world.
I will. Farewell, your lordship.
Gildong stood up and bowed. Then he disappeared into the night, leaving his father and his home. For days, Gildong wandered the country with nowhere to go. He didn't know what would happen to him. Eventually, he came to the mountains. He stopped on a high ridge and looked out.
The world is so big. And I'm all alone now.
He thought.
At least I have my fan.
Feeling tired, he decided to sleep. A while later, something stirred him awake. He looked around but saw nothing unusual. Gildong stood up and stretched.
Oh no! My fan is gone!
He saw a young girl far ahead on the path. She had the fan!
Hey! That's mine!
Gildong yelled. The girl turned around.
It's mine now. Thank you, little lord.
She took off, running as fast as she could. Gildong chased after her. Racing like the wind, he nearly caught up to her. The girl turned around, shocked.
You're fast.
Gildong ran even faster.
Give me my fan!
The girl darted behind a large rock. When Gildong got there, she was gone. Gildong groaned.
Where'd she go?
He wandered around and found a cave.
Maybe she went in here,
he thought. Gildong went inside. The cave was long and dark. At the back, light shone through a crack. Gildong peered through the crack.
Whoa,
he whispered. There was a huge village hidden within the mountains. The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 10, A Show of Strength. Gildong felt the cave wall. He realized it was a door. He was about to open it when he heard voices.
Look at what I have.
He looked through the crack again.
the fan thief!
He thought. The girl was with a group of people.
Uncle Mok, look at this pretty fan I stole,
she said.
That fan is useless, Nobby.
Mok said.
Yeah, go steal something useful,
Another person said.
We can toss the fan in the fire.
Hearing this, Gildong burst through the door.
Give me my fan!
He shouted. Nabi tossed the fan to Mok.
See? The little lord really wants it back. It must be valuable.
Gildong shook his fist at Mok.
Give it back, or I'll fight you.
Mok looked at the boy and let out a loud laugh. Everyone else laughed too. Gildong's face turned red.
This is your last chance. Give it back, or you'll be sorry.
The group roared with laughter again. Gildong went over to a huge rock and picked it up. The laughter stopped as he lifted it over his head. He held it with one hand and glared at Mok.
Now will you give my fan back?
Mok tossed the fan to Gildong.
Please don't harm us!
Gildong set the rock down.
Sorry I took it,
Nabi said.
Uncle Mok told me to steal something valuable. And that was all you had when I found you, my lord.
I'm not a lord.
Gildong said.
My father is a noble, but my mother was a servant. So that makes me a low-born commoner.
Mok put his arm around Gildong.
We're all commoners too. We should stick together. Why don't you join us? You're strong, you can probably read and write. Our group could use a smart guy like you.
Join you? What do you do?
Gildong asked.
We're just a humble group that sticks together.
Mok said.
We go out and take things from people when we need them.
Gildong blinked.
You mean you're thieves?
We only do it to survive,
Nabi said.
Well...
Gildong thought for a moment. He didn't want to stay with a group of thieves. But he didn't have anywhere else to go.
I guess I'll stay here for now.
The group cheered.
Hip hip hooray for...
What's your name?
Nabi asked.
Hwalbindang.
Mok patted Gildong on the back.
Tonight, we will have a feast to welcome Gildong.
The Story of Gildong, Chapter 11, The Welcome Feast. That night, the group held a feast. Everyone had a bowl of porridge. Small dishes of vegetables sat on the table, too.
Welcome to our group of bandits,
Mok said. The thieves cheered. Then everyone started to eat. Gildong looked at his bowl. There was so little porridge.
Is this really a feast?
Gildong said. Nabi nodded.
Of course it is. This is more porridge than we normally eat. And we have vegetables today.
She giggled.
You've got a lot to learn, little lord.
I told you, I'm not a lord. I'm a commoner, just like you.
Gildong said.
You grew up in a noble's house,
Nabi said.
So you're not just like us. This is how common people eat.
Oh.
Gildong said softly.
We've got 20 sacks of rice,
Mok said.
but we need to save them so we don't run out.
You're thieves. Can't you just steal more?
Gildong asked.
Most people don't have much food,
Nabi said.
And lots of bad officials charge high taxes.
Mok said.
They take grain from the poor and keep it for themselves.
Officials do that?
Gildong felt upset by what he was learning. Greedy officials had more than they needed, while people went hungry. Mok nodded.
In fact, I heard about a temple in Hapchun. The greedy monks there have a storehouse filled with grain and treasure. It's huge. I wish we could rob it.
Why can't you?
Gildong asked.
It's impossible to rob.
Mok said.
There are too many monks there.
Gildong thought for a moment. He wanted to learn more about these greedy monks. An idea came to him.
I'll visit that temple.
Gildong waited at the temple gate with a few followers. The head monk rushed out and bowed.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting, young master.
He took a good look at Gildong.
We are honored by your visit. What brings you here?
I am preparing for the royal examinations.
Gildong said.
I have heard good things about your temple. I wish to study here.
The head monk nodded eagerly.
Certainly, young master. Please, be our honored guest. Though we must humbly ask for a donation.
I will send 20 sacks of rice soon.
Gildong said. The monk's eyes lit up.
That's very generous of you.
Prepare a feast for my return in a week. All the monks must attend.
Gildong said. The monk bowed deeply.
As you wish, young master.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 12, Robbing the Temple. Gildong returned to the temple with a large party of servants. The head monk was there to greet him.
I've had a long journey. I'm very hungry from my travels.
Gildong said. The head monk smiled.
We have prepared a feast for you.
Good,
Gildong said.
Please gather all the monks.
Of course, young master.
The monk said.
Everything is exactly as you requested. The monks in this temple are gathering right now.
The head monk took Gildong and his servants to a large pavilion. Dishes of food filled the tables. All the monks were gathered, waiting for Gildong. The head monk led Gildong to the seat of honor.
What a wonderful feast!
Gildong said.
Let's eat and be merry.
Everyone ate and drank. The monks joked and laughed. Gildong watched the party. After a while, the monks began to look tired.
Now seems like a good time,
he thought. When no one was looking, Gildong reached into his sleeve. He sprinkled some sand on his rice. Then he put a spoonful into his mouth. Crack! All the monks stared at him.
Ah! Ouch! My teeth!
He cried loudly. He spat out the rice. The head monk looked shocked.
I'm very sorry, young master. What is the problem?
Gildong pretended to look carefully at the bowl.
There's sand in the rice!
He cried.
You all eat with greed, yet you serve sand to your guests?
The head monk's face turned pale. He shook with fear and bowed.
Young master, I have no idea how...
You must be punished for your disrespect.
Gildong snapped. He turned to his servants.
Tie them all up!
Yes, young master.
Mok said, grabbing the head monk by his robe. Soon all the monks were tied up.
Everyone, to the storeroom!
Mok shouted. Gildong's servants took off their disguises. The head monk's eyes narrowed.
You'll pay for this!
More thieves rushed into the temple. They all headed to the storeroom. It was filled with grain and valuables. As they loaded up carts, the bandits cheered. A young monk approached the temple. He was coming back from an errand in a faraway town. Suddenly, he heard shouting.
What's going on?
He thought. He peeked into the temple. He saw strange men carrying sacks of grain. Some held rolls of silk. The young monk gasped.
Bandits are robbing the temple. I must get help.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 13. Thanks to Hwalbindang. The young monk ran to the government office in Hapchan. He told the official what he had seen.
Bandits are robbing the temple.
The official was stunned.
Yes, sir.
The monk said, out of breath. The official quickly gathered his soldiers. They ran toward the temple. In the temple, the bandits finished filling their carts.
We should get out of here before we get caught.
Gildong said.
Let's go through the forest.
Mok said.
It will be safer than traveling on the road.
Gildong looked at the carts and frowned.
The carts are too heavy. Pulling them through the forest won't work.
What should we do?
Mok asked. Gildong thought for a moment.
Take the main road back to the hideout. I'll make sure no one finds you.
Mok looked confused, but he nodded.
Move out!
After the bandits left, Gildong opened his fan.
Transform!
Poof! Gildong turned into an old monk. He checked his clothing.
Not bad,
he thought, grinning. He ran toward town. Soldiers carrying spears were hurrying along the road. An official was leading them. Gildong ran toward them.
Help! Help!
What happened?
The official asked.
Bandits stole everything from the temple storeroom. Then they ran off.
Gildong said.
Which way did they go?
The official asked. Gildong pointed into the forest.
They went deep into the woods. Please catch them. Hurry!
The official and the soldiers ran into the woods. Gildong chuckled.
That was too easy.
Poof! He turned back into himself and opened his van.
To the hideout!
Whoosh! Wind rushed, and the scenery around him changed. In an instant, he was back at the hideout. Oof! Gildong knocked into someone. Nabi got up and dusted herself off.
Watch where you're going, little lord.
Sorry,
Gildong said.
Where are the others?
Nabi asked.
They'll be here soon.
A while later, Gildong heard singing as the other thieves arrived.
We robbed the temple. It was very simple. Thanks to Hwalbindang.
The thieves' carts were loaded with grain and treasure. Some of the men were wrapped in colorful silk. Nabi's eyes went wide.
We're rich!
Mok jumped onto a cart.
Hwalbindang should be our leader. We couldn't have done it without him.
Are you sure?
Gildong said in surprise.
I just joined your group.
The thieves cheered noisily and sang again.
We'll be rich forever and feel hungry never. Thanks to Hwalbindang.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 14, Trouble in the Kingdom. An old sage was meditating alone. Suddenly, lightning flashed brightly in his mind. He saw a blue dragon flying high above the land.
Ha ha ha!
A boy rode on its back, laughing. The dragon shot straight toward the palace. The sage stood up, shaking.
That was a troubling vision,
he thought.
The boy on the dragon is a threat to the kingdom. I must speak to the king right away.
Police Chief Hup bowed to the king.
Your Majesty, a temple in Hapchan was robbed,
He said. The king frowned.
Why are you bothering me with such small matters?
Just then, an old sage appeared and bowed.
I had a terrible vision, Your Majesty.
The sage told the king about the boy and the dragon.
The boy will cause trouble in the kingdom. You must do something.
The king laughed.
You all worry too much over little things. I'm the king. No one would dare challenge me.
After robbing the temple, the bandits lived well. They didn't need to go out every day to steal. Everyone was happy, except Gildong.
I left home to find my own destiny. But now I'm leading a group of thieves,
he thought. His father's words rang in his ears.
Always remember to do good in the world.
So, boss,
Mok said, interrupting Gildong's thoughts.
what should we rob next?
We shouldn't steal again anytime soon.
Gildong said.
Soldiers are probably still searching for us. And the stuff we stole will last us a long time.
Mok smiled.
I'm glad we have a smart leader like you.
A thief named Chibong brought a small boy over.
I found him by our storehouse,
Chibong said. Mok stomped his foot.
You little thief!
The boy burst into tears.
I didn't steal anything. I was looking for food for me and my sister. Our parents died, so we're all alone.
Gildong looked at the boy. He was thin and dirty.
What's your name?
Gildong asked softly.
Bongnam,
The boy said.
What should we do with this thief?
Chibong asked. Nabi frowned.
He's just a hungry boy.
Besides, we stole our food too.
Gildong said. At that, Mok and Chibong stopped scowling.
Give him a bowl of rice. He can stay here tonight.
Gildong said.
We've got so much food. Let's take some down to the people in town tomorrow.
Bongnam wiped his tears.
Thank you.
Gildong smiled at the boy.
You're welcome.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 15, The Poor Town. A group of bandits loaded a cart with food the next day. Gildong led them into town. The buildings looked shabby. The market stalls were mostly empty.
This town is really poor,
Gildong thought. An old, thin woman was in the street.
Do you need some rice?
Nabi held out a small sack. The woman's eyes lit up.
Thank you.
A few people gathered around the cart. The thieves handed out more rice.
Bongnam!
A little girl cried. She ran toward the cart.
Sunny, we have food!
Bongnam said. Gildong grabbed a few sacks of rice.
Here, you can take these home.
We don't have a house anymore.
Sunhi said.
Oh,
Gildong said.
then you can stay with us from now on.
While the other bandits handed out food, Gildong looked around.
I wonder if anyone sells books.
He thought, but he didn't see any books in the market. He went to a candlemaker's stall to ask. Suddenly, a farmer pushed Gildong aside.
You sold me bad candles!
The farmer yelled at the young candlemaker. He tossed some candles to the ground. They cracked open and dirt spilled out.
Give me back my money!
The young man shook with fear.
I'm sorry, I don't have much wax, and I need money quickly.
Gildong stepped in front of the farmer. He held out some coins.
Does this cover the cost of the candles you bought?
The farmer took the coins and nodded.
If this guy cheats anyone else, I'll report him to an official!
The candlemaker looked at Gildong.
Thank you for helping me.
It's okay.
Gildong said.
But why do you need money so quickly?
I needed food for my sick mother.
The man said.
So I borrowed a small sack of rice from a landowner. Now I must pay him back.
I can help you repay him.
Gildong said. They went to the cart, and Gildong grabbed a sack of rice. The candle maker looked sheepish.
I also have to pay him interest. Every day the rice I owe doubles.
Gildong blinked.
You only borrowed one small sack of rice. How many days has it been?
22?
The man said nervously.
That's a lot of rice!
Gildong was shocked.
I need to pay soon, or the landowner will make me his servant,
the candle maker said. Gildong shook his head.
The landowner is really unfair. Let's go talk to him.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 16, Gildong's Announcement. Gildong went with the candlemaker to see the landowner.
I'm here to pay my debt.
The candlemaker gave the landowner a sack of rice. The landowner stroked his beard.
Where's the interest?
Don't you think the interest is too high?
Gildong said. The landowner crossed his arms.
That man agreed to pay. If he can't, he will become my servant. That should teach him a lesson.
Fine,
Gildong said.
I'll pay.
He waved his fan.
Day 1.
The rice doubled, bursting the sack. The landowner's eyes went wide.
What's happening?
I'm paying the interest.
Gildong kept waving the fan. The rice doubled and doubled.
Day 15. Day 16.
Rice rose up to the landowner's nose. The room creaked as it filled with rice.
Day 19.
Okay.
The landowner said.
The debt is paid. Stop before you destroy my house!
That should teach you a lesson.
Gildong folded the fan, and the rice disappeared. One sack sat in front of the landowner. Gildong glared at him.
If I ever hear about your cruel loans again, I'll be back.
Gildong was quiet all afternoon. He was sad that so many people were poor and hungry. He was sad that landowners gave out unfair loans. What's wrong, little lord? Nabi asked.
I'm glad we helped the people in town,
Gildong said.
But I wish we could do more.
Mok slapped him on the back.
You're smart, boss. Maybe you can think of something.
Soon, Gildong knew just what to do. He gathered everyone to announce his plan.
Many people in this kingdom need help,
he said.
So from now on, we won't just steal for ourselves. We'll give what we steal to poor people. And we'll only steal from greedy nobles and officials.
The bandits cheered.
Our group needs a name,
Chibong said. Mok scratched his head.
What can we call a group that helps the poor?
Gildong smiled.
The Hwalbindang!
Hooray for the Hwalbindang!
Everyone cried.
What should we do first?
Mok asked.
I heard that farmers in Hamhung are starving.
Chibong said.
The governor takes all their grain as tax. If they don't have grain, he takes whatever else they have.
That's horrible,
Nabi said.
The government storehouse must be so full,
Gildong said. Mok grinned.
Let's rob it.
Chibong shook his head.
The old royal villa is there. Soldiers guard the city closely.
Gildong said.
I know a way to distract the soldiers.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 17, The Leader of the Hwalbindang. For days, the Hwalbindang trained with spears and swords. Gildong taught them everything he had read about weapons and fighting.
Robbing the temple was easy.
Gildong said.
Robbing a government storehouse will be much more dangerous.
When he thought they were ready, they went to Hamhung. Outside the city, some of the Hwalbindang gathered straw. Late that night, they went to the old royal villa. They piled the straw outside the walls. Gildong took out his fan.
Fire!
The whoosh! The straw lit up in a bright blaze. The governor in Hamhung was eating a late dinner. Outside, he heard the city bells ringing. He sighed.
I hope it's nothing important.
Just then, the captain of the city soldiers arrived.
Why are you interrupting my meal?
The governor snapped.
Sir, there's a fire at the royal villa.
The captain said.
What?
The governor ran outside. He saw flames in the distance.
Quick, we must put out the fire!
I already sent some soldiers.
The captain said.
Some soldiers?
The governor cried.
It's the royal villa! Send every soldier in the city! Wake the townspeople too!
The Hwalbindang were waiting near the government office. Gildong watched as soldiers ran out the gate.
Just as I thought. All the soldiers are leaving to put out the fire,
he said.
No one's guarding the storehouse. Let's go!
The thieves made their way into the government office. They loaded grain and valuables from the storehouse onto carts.
There's so much here,
Mok said. When they finished, Gildong put a sign on the gate.
What does that say?
Chibong asked.
The Hwalbindang were here.
Gildong said.
This is your punishment for unfair taxes. Don't mistreat the people again.
Lord Hong listened as Police Chief Hup reported to the king.
Someone started a fire at the royal villa?
The king cried.
The government office was robbed too? Who's responsible?
These bandits are the same ones who robbed the temple in Hopchan. They call themselves the Hwalbindang. People say their leader is a boy, Honggildong. He gives the stolen grain to the poor.
A boy is causing all this trouble!
The king cried. Lord Hong gasped.
It can't be.
He thought.
Are you all right, Minister?
The king asked.
I apologize, Your Majesty. I'm suddenly feeling unwell.
Lord Hong said.
Please excuse me.
Lord Hong bowed. As he left, he heard the king's command.
Chief Hup, capture Hwalbindang!
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 18, The Rescue. For months, the Hwalbindang punished greedy officials. They gave grain to the people. News of the bandits spread far and wide. Soldiers were searching all over for the Hwalbindang. One day, Gildong returned to the hideout. When he arrived, Mok was waiting.
We have a problem, boss.
Mok said. He took Gildong to see Chibong. Chibong's face had bruises. Nabi was wrapping his arm with a bandage.
What happened?
Gildong asked.
My team got captured in Mungyang.
Chibong said.
I barely managed to escape. The rest of them are still there in jail.
We need to rescue our friends, Nabi said.
The jail is heavily guarded.
Chibong said.
We'll need a good plan.
Mok looked at Gildong.
What are we going to do?
Gildong thought for a moment.
I have an idea,
he said. He scribbled some words onto a scroll. Then he looked at Mok.
We need to find you some new clothes.
Nabi giggled. You look like a real noble, Uncle Mok. Mok was dressed like an official.
Are you sure this will work?
He asked Gildong.
Can't you use your fan power to blow down the jail?
Gildong shook his head.
That's not a good idea. We need to free everyone quickly and quietly.
Gildong and Mok went to the jail in Mungyang. At the gate, a guard stepped out.
Halt! Who are you and why are you here?
The governor of Gyeongsang sent me. I have a message from him.
Mok said. Gildong held up a scroll. The guard reached for it.
No, the message is for the warden.
Mok said. The warden appeared and took the scroll from Gildong. The guard looked over the warden's shoulder.
What does it say?
Read it for yourself.
The warden snapped.
I don't know how to read.
The guard said. The warden sighed.
It says the governor orders us to release our prisoners. The men we captured aren't Hwalbindang men. They're the governor's spies.
Really?
The guard asked. The warden gave Mok a suspicious look.
Something doesn't seem right about this message.
How dare you question the governor's orders?
Mok snapped.
He'll be very angry if he hears.
Okay,
the warden said. Soon the warden released the prisoners. the Hwalbindang made their way toward the city walls. Gildong saw a group of men coming through the gate. He recognized their uniforms.
We've got trouble,
Gildong said.
The royal police are coming.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 19, The Police Chief's Search. Gildong watched the royal police come through the gate. Mok puffed out his chest.
We can beat these guys.
If we make a scene, the town gates will close,
Gildong said.
Everyone split up and get back to the hideout quickly. I'll distract the royal police.
As you say, boss.
Mok said. The police headed toward the jail. Gildong followed them.
You let those prisoners go?
Police Chief Hup roared at the guard.
The governor gave the order.
The guard shrugged.
A messenger had a scroll.
You fool!
The chief said.
The Hwalbindang tricked you so easily! I'll capture them.
Gildong followed the police out of town. When they got to the mountain, he opened his fan.
Illusion!
Hup led his men up a road. They traveled for hours. At last, he saw an inn.
We'll stop and rest,
He said. The soldiers ate dinner. Meanwhile, a boy came in. He sat next to Hup.
Are you looking for Hwalbindang?
The boy whispered. Hup nodded.
Do you know where the Hwalbindang hideout is?
Of course,
The boy said.
In fact, I've been looking for a strong man like you. You can help me capture Hwalbindang. Follow me.
Hup looked around the inn.
What about my men?
The boy frowned.
You look strong, but your men don't. Hwalbindang is really powerful. It's safer if we go by ourselves.
Hup and the boy went deep into the woods.
We're close to the hideout,
The boy said.
Great. I'll capture Hwalbindang for sure.
Hup grinned and glanced at the boy, but the boy was gone.
Police Chief,
A voice rang out.
your search for Hwalbindang has angered the heavens. You will go to the land of darkness to be judged.
Hup looked around. The woods were empty. Where had the voice come from? He stood up tall.
Come out, whoever you are. I'm not afraid of you.
Suddenly, everything went black. Hup was blindfolded.
Welcome to the land of darkness.
The voice boomed. Hup shook with fear.
Please let me go. I don't want to be dead.
Ha ha ha!
A boy laughed. The blindfold was removed. Hup saw the boy who had led him into the forest.
I told you Hwalbindang is powerful,
the boy said.
I should know because...
Hup gasped.
You're Hwalbindang!
Yes.
Gildong smiled.
I'm far more powerful than you. So don't bother trying to capture me.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 20, More Gildongs. A few days later, Gildong was in the town near the hideout. The Hwalbindang were giving grain and cloth to the poor.
Hwalbindang!
An old man said.
You're our hero!
Gildong smiled. He handed a sack of rice to the candle maker.
Thank you for helping me again,
the young man said. I wish we could help more people, Nabi said.
Me too.
Mok smiled.
But we have only one boss. Wouldn't it be great if there were 2 Gildongs?
Gildong laughed.
Sorry, there's only one of me.
But Mok's joke gave Gildong an idea. Back at the hideout, he gathered some straw and started making something. When he was done, there were 7 figures made of straw. Nabi laughed. Can I play with your dolls?
They're not dolls,
Gildong said. He opened his fan.
Come to life!
The figures suddenly sprang up. Now they looked just like Gildong. Nabi's eyes went wide. Amazing!
Whoa!
Mok cried.
There are 7 more Gildongs!
Gildong nodded and turned back to his creations.
Each of you will lead a Hwalbindang group. Go out to every part of the country. Remember our role. We punish bad officials and help the poor.
The Gildongs all puffed out their chests.
Yes, sir!
Every day, the king heard new reports of the Hwalbindang. They robbed government storehouses all over the country. They stole from nobles everywhere. The king scowled when Police Chief Hup arrived at the palace.
You fool! You didn't capture Gildong, and now he seems to be everywhere! How can he be in 8 places in one day?
I'm sorry, Your Majesty.
Hup looked down.
I have failed to capture Gildong so far, but I am on his trail. In fact, I just learned something new about the boy. Hwalbindang is the low-born son of Lord Hwang.
What?
The king roared.
Bring Lord Hwang here now!
Actually, sir,
Hup said.
Perhaps we should place him under house arrest. When Gildong hears about the arrest, he'll go to his father's home.
The king looked pleased.
We'll capture him then for sure.
One morning, Gildong saw Nabi running to him. Little lord, I've heard terrible news about your father, she said. The king found out you're Lord Hwang's son. Your father is under house arrest. Gildong jumped up.
I have to go to him. I need to fix this.
He took out his fan.
To Lord Holmes' house!
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 21, Surender. Gildong landed in the yard at Lord Holmes' house. Inhyun screamed.
Don't hurt me, Gildong! I know all about your powers!
I'm not here to hurt you,
Gildong said.
I'm here to see Lord Hong.
Inhyun scowled.
He's sick and in trouble because of you! You're evil.
I'm not evil. The Hwalbindang are helping people,
Gildong said.
You're lying!
Inhyun waved his arms.
Chief Hup, Gildong is here.
Hup rushed into the yard with two men.
Soldiers!
They held out spears and ran toward Gildong and Inhyun.
Wind gust!
Gildong swung his fan, and a heavy wind blew, swirling dust everywhere. The men fell down, and their weapons blew away.
Get up and capture him!
Hup shouted. As the dust cleared, Hup's men charged toward Gildong and Inhyun again. Gildong held his fan.
Switch!
Inhyun backed toward the wall, while Gildong froze. The men tackled Gildong and held him down. Hup smiled.
Got you, Gildong!
Suddenly, there was a scream at the gate.
Let my son go!
Lady Yu shouted. Hup looked again at the boy on the ground. It wasn't Gildong. It was Inhyun. Hup groaned.
Gildong got away!
Gildong tried to think of another plan for helping his father. But then he heard more news. The king had sent Lord Hong to prison. One night, Gildong looked up at the moon.
I have to free Lord Hong,
he thought.
If I fail, the king will find a worse punishment for him. But how can I free him without getting captured?
The next morning, he saw Sunhee and Bongnam. They were playing with dolls made of straw. Bongnam held up a doll.
I am Hwalbindang.
4 of you go north.
Sunhee said.
3 of you go south. Punish bad people!
She waved the dolls around. Gildong looked at the dolls.
That's it!
Gildong arrived at the palace gate.
I am Hwalbindang, leader of the Hwalbindang.
The guards pointed their spears at him. Gildong raised his hands.
I am here to surrender.
The gate captain grinned.
I have Gildong. The king will be so pleased.
He rushed into the palace. The king was meeting with the police chief. The captain bowed.
Your Majesty, Hwalbindang has surrendered at the gate.
Gildong is playing tricks on us again!
The king cried.
How many is that now, Chief Hup?
That makes 7, sir.
Hup groaned.
So far, 7 Gildongs have surrendered.
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 22. Which one is real? The 7 Gildongs were brought to the king.
Which of you is the real Hwalbindang?
The king asked.
I am, Your Majesty.
One said.
No, I am, Your Majesty.
Another said.
You're too ugly to be me.
A third said to the second. The second Gildong turned red.
How dare you insult me in front of the king?
The 7 Gildongs all shouted at each other.
Silence!
The king yelled.
Chief Hoop, you've seen Gildong before. Which is the real one?
Hoop inspected the Gildongs.
Nice to see you again.
One said. Another grinned.
Have I caused you too much trouble?
They all look the same, Your Majesty.
Hoop said. The king frowned.
Certainly his father would know. Chief Hoop, bring Lord Hung here!
The Gildongs grew quiet when Lord Hong appeared. He seemed to be in pain as he bowed to the king.
Your Majesty,
he said.
Since my lowborn son left home, I have been sick with worry. Now I have little time left to live, but I am here to serve you.
Then prove your loyalty. Tell me which one is real!
The king shouted. Hoop led Lord Hong to the Gildongs. But all 7 were identical. Lord Hong shook with fear.
I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I cannot tell which is the real Gildong.
How can you not know your own child?
The king roared.
Your lowborn boy has done terrible crimes! When I find the real Gildong, I'll punish you both!
At this, Lord Hong collapsed.
Your lordship!
The Gildongs rushed over to Lord Hong. They each took medicine from their sleeves and gave it to him. Soon his eyes opened, and he looked at them with sadness. Palace guards took Lord Hong away.
I'm sorry.
A Gildong called out.
Quiet, you!
Hoop growled, kicking the Gildong. Poof! The Gildong turned into a straw figure. Everyone in the courtyard gasped.
Now there's 6 left.
The king said.
Find the real one!
Hoop kicked another Gildong hard. Poof! That one turned to straw too. He kicked the Gildongs one by one. Each one turned to straw. Finally, Hoop reached the last Gildong. He took out his sword and grinned.
Your crimes end now!
Gildong smiled as a strong wind blew. He shot into the air. Hoop looked up. Gildong was floating on a cloud above the crowd.
Chief Hoop, get him!
The king ordered.
Archers!
Hoop cried.
Fire your arrows!
The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 23, Gildong's Request. Arrows flew toward Gildong. He waved his fan, and the arrows fell to the ground.
Fire again!
Hook cried.
Don't bother,
Gildong said.
I am more powerful than anyone here, and I did not come to fight. I came as your majesty's loyal servant.
Loyal?
The king shouted.
You're nothing but a low-born criminal!
Yes, I am lowborn, but I serve your majesty and help the kingdom. The Hwalbindang punish greedy nobles and officials. We feed the hungry and help the poor. And so, as your loyal servant, I have a request.
The king glared at Gildong.
What is it?
Lord Hong has also served the kingdom loyally for many years. As you saw...
Gildong closed his eyes for a moment.
He is already unwell because of me. He should not be punished further for my deeds. I ask your majesty to free him from prison.
The king thought for a moment. Then he sighed.
Fine. I'll release Lord Hong.
Gildong floated down to the ground and bowed.
Thank you, your majesty.
Poof! The last Gildong turned to straw. The real Gildong was alone at the hideout, thinking.
Lord Hong is free now, but I put him in danger. And I've caused him so much heartache. How can I ever face him again?
That night, Gildong had a dream. He was in the land of the gods. Lord Hong stepped out of the mist.
I'm sorry, your lordship,
Gildong said.
No, my son, I am sorry.
Lord Hong said.
I wish I had said this sooner. You may call me father.
In the morning, Gildong woke up and burst outside. Mok rushed over.
What's wrong?
I must see my father right now!
Gildong opened his fan.
Home!
But when he arrived, he was too late. His father was dead. Gildong sank to his knees.
Farewell, father.
As time passed, Gildong thought of his father often. Meanwhile, the Hwalbindang continued their work. They were more popular than ever. This made the king very angry.
I shouldn't have let Gildong go!
The king roared.
I've thought of a new way to trap him.
Hup said.
You can make Gildong a high official. That low-born boy cannot refuse your order. And he will be forced to return here.
The king stroked his beard.
Clever idea. Put up signs around the land. Announce that Gildong is my new Minister of War. And then we will get him for sure. The Story of Hwalbindang, Chapter 24,
a new adventure. Gildong and the Hwalbindang were in a village by the sea. They were handing out grain. A sign caught Gildong's eye. He laughed as he read it.
What's so funny?
Nabi asked.
I'm the new Minister of War,
Gildong said.
The king is ordering me to come to the palace.
Mok scratched his head.
Why is that funny?
The king's still trying to capture me,
Gildong said.
I guess he'll never give up.
What will you do?
Chibong asked. Gildong looked out across the sea.
I think it's time for a new adventure. But first, I am going to the palace.
What?
Mok gulped.
You can't go, boss. It's not safe.
I'll be fine,
Gildong said.
I must see the king and end this once and for all.
He gathered everyone closer.
Here is what you must do while I'm gone.
At the palace, Gildong entered the courtyard.
Your Majesty.
Gildong bowed.
I am lowborn, yet you want me as your Minister of War. I'm honored.
Hook grinned.
Now!
He yelled. Soldiers ran in and surrounded Gildong. Their spears moved in fast. But Gildong reached for his fan.
Fly!
Where did he go?
The king cried. Gildong stood high above. He laughed as everyone below looked for him.
Up here!
The crowd looked up.
Your Majesty is very generous to make me a minister,
Gildong said.
But I'm going to refuse the position. You'll be rid of me at last.
What?
The king looked shocked.
I'm leaving your kingdom for a new adventure,
Gildong said.
I'll create a new country with the Hwalbindang, far from here. Lowborn people will be treated fairly. They will have the same opportunities as nobles. Goodbye.
Gildong opened his fan, and a fierce wind swirled around the palace. He soared high into the sky. Thwoosh! He landed on a large ship. Chibong hurried over.
Everything's ready, boss. Just as you requested.
Are we really leaving, little lord?
Nabi asked. Gildong sighed.
I'm not a lord.
But you are our boss.
Mok laughed.
Maybe you should be our king.
Gildong shook his head.
I don't think so. I only want to do good in the world. Now let's go.
Everyone sang as the ship took off.
We'll sail to a new land. We'll make everything grand. Thanks to Hwalbindang.
The Hwalbindang sailed beyond the horizon, and only they know what happened next.